Hello and welcome to another Doctor's Assistant 1 video. Today I'm doing a review of the 13th Doctor comic, issue 6 by Titan Comics. If you've already seen my new news video, you may already know that the main reason why I picked this one up was because of the cover. It's very sort of Star Wars A New Hope inspired, which I quite like. Although I suppose if you're not a Jodie Whittaker fan then, or 13th Doctor / fan of the idea of a female Doctor, then this probably pissed a lot of people off, maybe, this cover, potentially. What else? On the back it just has like a picture of like one of the graphic novels, I think, and just saying like, quotes about like how amazing it is and all that. And then, you've got your advert for your previous Doctor adventures and graphic novels and whatnot, and the next issue as well, which I'm not going to lie, I really like the cover of the next issue as well. Variant covers for this one, I quite like that one, and that. I'm not too keen on that one, or too fussed about that one, or that second one. Those two are probably the ones that I like the most, so cover A and cover C. What else? Just some more stuff there. Advertisement for Venom, and previously, because this is issue 6, so I am just a random issue, so I did read the previously, and that was nice, and that actually did help sort of catch me up with what was going on. You've got a bio on the Doctor, Ryan, Yaz, Graham, and the TARDIS, which I haven't read, but if it's anything like the previous ones, it's pretty extensive and probably a good rundown of these characters. Titan Comics website, Facebook and Twitter, or Twitter and then Facebook even, and that to give them feedback and whatnot. The writer, the artist, the colorist, and the other folk, like the credits there. You've got these sort of relatively generic looking monsters. I don't mind that, really. I guess, weirdly enough, in the Jodie Whittaker era, it is kind of weird to think, like, I don't really associate her era with a lot of traditional villains, weirdly enough. I either associate it with Russell T Davies, like, creations like the Jadoon, the Master, the Cybermen, and the Daleks. Well, I mean, the Cybermen and the Daleks weren't Russell T Davies era, things, but you know what I mean. And then, like, the original stuff I usually just associate with, like, historicals in Jodie Whittaker's era, which is kind of funny because I'm pretty sure this is also a historical sort of thing, story. I quite like this panel where she's got her hands like this, because she always seems, oh no, not always, but she often seems to be doing that in the actual televised series. Like, what stands out to me is in series 11 episode 5, I want to call it. I want to say it's episode 5, or maybe it's episode 4, I can't quite remember, but either way, it's the Saranga conundrum, and she's doing that thing, or like, she's doing that, but she's also, with her hands, but she's like talking about that particle accelerator sort of thing, and that, and there are a lot of sort of close-up, or like, close-ups on her face, but then also mid-shots of her torso and her hands, I think. And I also quite like this shot and/or panel where she's like put her hand on the TARDIS and she's saying about like how her and the TARDIS always listen to podcasts together, which I quite like. It's very sort of New Who sort of comedy, I suppose, and quirkiness of a Doctor. I like this one as well, of like the Sonic as well. Like shot and/or panel. What else? I think the dynamic between Ryan, Graham and Yaz and the Doctor in this issue is actually quite a lot better than some of the episodes they actually had on TV, which is quite worrisome, I suppose. And I've often also, I think, said in other 13th Doctor comic book reviews that I quite like the TARDIS interior more in comic book form of the 13th Doctor TARDIS than I do in the TV show. It just looks less cluttered, or just looks better for some weird reason. I don't know. Yeah, there's not a lot to talk about here, I guess, because it's just a random issue of like a story partway through, like a story. So yeah, it was interesting that like the Doctor distinguished between like evil and like just like normal predators, I guess, or people like kind of making that point about like what like Capaldi and or the 12th Doctor makes the point about like, from a pig's perspective, you're an evil person eating your bacon sandwich. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't always take the moral high ground. You know, like in that sense, I guess if you turn the table in that sort of way, I suppose. Yeah, it's cool that like one of the alien things, kind of like monster dudes, kind of like tears part of the Doctor's coat. She does mention about like how much she loves that coat as well, which I guess makes sense because really when you think about it, the 13th Doctor predominantly only wears that long grey sort of coat, which would be fine, but I do wish she would wear some other costumes and different things during the series, or different, like, during different episodes, I guess, maybe. But then I guess they're trying to, again, sort of call back to that sort of Russell T Davies era, when the show was, like, riding on its, like, highs of, like, in terms of its popularity, you know, in terms of the viewership and all that. Not to be political or anything, but yeah, it'd be cool to just get like one of the 13th Doctor graphic novels at some point, actually, for myself, and just see like what one of them is like. Because I remember as well, like ages ago, getting a free comic book day issue, Doctor Who issue, and it was the 13th Doctor one, and I read through it, and I was just like, Jesus Christ, this is garbage. You know, if this is like the sort of pilot for the rest of the 13th Doctor comics, then no thank you, sort of thing. But then since I've read some here and there, and as I say, some of them are quite good, and weirdly enough, like sometimes the people who aren't directly involved in the 13th Doctor era, like the TV show, seem to get her character better, or like some of the people who are doing it in the expanded universe stuff seem to be getting her character better than the people who work on the actual show, which is kind of weird to say. You know, like the people who do the BBC books, apparently The Good Doctor and some of those books, or that range of books, I think there were 3 books, during the sort of Series 11 time period of the show, that actually really sort of characterised the 13th Doctor and some of her companions and friends, if you will, really well, and give you a better idea of who they are as characters and people, and why they're travelling with the Doctor, and what the Doctor's relationship is to Graham, Ryan and Yaz, and that, you know, she clearly has a deeper relationship with Yaz of the 3 of them, but it is kind of weird because, like, you know, I'd say she has a decent relationship with Graham. I mean, besides that whole thing that happened in Can You Hear Me, where she kind of just brushes off his cancer, which was really fucking weird. I'm a bit socially awkward. It's like, no, like, even Capaldi, I would have thought, would have given him some sort of level of empathy there. I'd like to think, maybe not Eccleston, but granted, I don't think Eccleston would be travelling with someone who would be that sort of, like, emotionally vulnerable and fractured a person, you know, because he's also quite emotionally fractured and damaged character when we first meet Christopher Eccleston's Doctor, so it'd be a bit pointless him travelling with someone who's also, you know, emotionally, like, well, not crippled, but emotionally damaged, you know. But yeah, it's a decent issue. It was fun. It was a quick read. It was easy enough to read as well, and the art's okay. Like, you know, just these sort of bog standard average Tank Comics art. Nothing blew me away. Nothing horrified me though either. So yeah, thanks for watching. Please do comment, rate, and subscribe to the channel.